What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a follow-up video to the last video I uploaded about the case premiums in Pokemon on certain sealed products. A couple things before we get into the video. First off, I am a little bit sick, so that's kind of why I haven't been uploading, but also if I am sounding a bit nasally or off in the video, just bear with me, guys. Hopefully it's only going to be a couple days like this, but the information I want to get to today I think is valuable. And the other thing I want to say before we get into this, and you can see the data on screen and I'll go through all of this with you guys, it was very difficult to find accurate numbers for a lot of these products. So for example, the Sun and Moon booster boxes, I took average sale price from my market spreadsheet based on the past 14 days of eBay North America sales. Maybe that's not the best way to go about it, but I think a lot of the booster boxes on TCG Player are way undervalued compared to what the Sun and Moon booster boxes are actually worth currently. And the other thing is that for a lot of the cases, there weren't any sales in the past 90 days that I could find on eBay or TCG Player. So if that's the case, it's just going to have an NA there. And then in brackets, this is the lowest listed offer on eBay. And I actually opened the search up to eBay worldwide, not just North America. So these are the lowest listed in the entire world, basically, that you can find on eBay. There's probably deals going on Instagram or Facebook, whatever, that are better than this, that would give us better data. But just based on what I can track and see on the secondary market, this is kind of what we're dealing with right now. So starting off with the Sun and Moon era, there was only one set that currently has a case premium based on sales. So maybe some of these Sun and Moon sets, they have case premiums, but the fact that there is no confirmed sales on eBay or TCG Player for these, I figured it wasn't even worth considering, right? We could go based off lowest listed, but that's not an actual confirmed sale. So Burning Shadows, the only set currently that we have a case that actually sold, and it was September 22nd, and it was a Probstein auction. I know people aren't huge fans of Probstein, but it is what it is. It's what we're dealing with. You can see here the average sale price on Burning Shadows for a loose box over the past couple weeks was $1,039.25. You multiply that by 6, you take the difference, you get your percentage there. It's a 28.3% case premium currently based on the most recent sale of Burning Shadows. And that is the only Sun and Moon booster box set that currently has a case premium, just because we don't have a lot of data. Now, moving into the Sword and Shield era, this is where there's a few more booster boxes that have case premiums. Sword and Shield base set, surprisingly, we actually have a little bit of data on. And if we come in here and look, scroll down to here, the booster box price, I took these from TCG Player because they still move decently well on TCG Player, $594.56. You multiply that by 6, you take the difference there, you get your percentage. It's about a 12.13% case premium. That's based on a $4,000 sale. I believe it was on eBay. And I believe that that sale on Sword and Shield base was maybe today or yesterday. Like, it was fairly recent. So somebody just bought up a case of that. Fairly interesting data point there. Rebel Clash, we can't do a case premium here just because there is no confirmed sales. Lowest listed on eBay was $3,500 or best offer. Darkness Ablaze, I did want to put an asterisk next to this just because the current market price on a loose box, around $340. The most recent sale of a sealed case was $1,700, and that was a Probstein auction on October 22nd, so a decent while ago at this point. The lowest listed case on the market, I believe, is TCG Player, $3,295. So if you do the math, there probably would be a case premium if there is a new sale, but just based on the most recent sale we have confirmed on these platforms, there is currently no case premium. But I did want to point that out because I don't think $1,700 for a sealed case of Darkness Ablaze is too realistic right now. Vivid Voltage, this is where we get back to a couple more sets having case premiums. Approximately $240 market value. When I clocked this yesterday or the day before, it was $240, You can see here the most recent sealed case sold for $1,730 USD. That's approximately an 18.83% case premium. And Battle Styles, basically in the same boat, $236, $237 market value. Most recent case sale, $1,750 USD. That's approximately a 23.09% case premium. And this might actually surprise a lot of people, but Chilling Reign as well currently has a case premium, market price around $417. This box is actually getting crushed, by the way, over the past couple days. A lot of people moving boxes at like the 400, 410 range. Recent sales were back up to around 420, but still, considering the summer, this was like a $410 box. We're seeing this actually push below the previous support lines that we had on Chilling Reign. But if we go look at the case premium here, $2,698.94. That's approximately a 6.44% premium. Now moving on, Evolving Skies. Now I'm just going to start scrolling down a little bit here. Market price, TCG Player, $2,391. Realistically, this is a $2,000 box at this point. TCG Player is a little bit behind on Evolving Skies when it comes to giving us an accurate number. The most recent sale I saw for a sealed case was $9,800. So I did want to make a note of this just because I do think $9,800 for a sealed case is a little bit low on Evolving Skies. There are a lot of other sales, $12,000, $13,000. But even if you take 12, that's about $2,000 per box. There really is no case premium there if you assume that the loose boxes are going for about $2K right now. So based on market prices, actual sales that are coming in over the past couple weeks, I don't really see any premium. And there might actually be a premium on the loose boxes if this 9,800 number is any sign of things to come for Evolving Skies. After that Fusion Strike, no case premium, $893 was market price. $5,250 approximately was the most recent sale there. Brilliant Stars sitting at $485. I believe today, if I go look at this, it's actually higher, $495. This box is doing incredibly well compared to all of the other Sword and Shield sets. And the most recent sale, you can see here, $549. That's basically an all-time high on this box again, considering all the other Sword and Shield sets. We're seeing like a 20-25% pullback in price. This one, all-time highs. I have a ton of these boxes too, so I'm definitely happy to see this. But if we go look at the numbers here, based on current market price, and again, these numbers are going to be a bit off because TCG Player's updated today, but the most recent sale of a sealed case, $2,980 USD. That's about a 2.25% premium, so fairly small there on Brilliant Stars. And that is the final Sword and Shield set that currently has a sealed case premium, at least for the booster boxes. You can see here Astral Radiance for $10 for a booster box loose. The average sealed price of a case now $2,126. Lost Origin $657 approximately. Recent case $3,853 USD. And then Silver Tempest $437. The most recent case $2,450 USD. Now, before we move on and go into the Scarlet and Violet era, I did just want to jump in here and say, if you guys are enjoying the content, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below for the algorithm. It really does help out a ton getting these videos pushed out to more people. Also, if you're looking to take your TCG investing more seriously, I do have links to my Pokemon and One Piece market spreadsheet, top of the description as always. You can use the code Pokemon for 30% off all plans. And I also have my consultation links if you're really looking to win when it comes to TCG investing. So thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. That's all I'm going to say there. Moving into the Scarlet and Violet era, starting off with SV base. Current market price is around $218 USD. When I did the numbers yesterday, it was $219.56. The most recent case, or this might actually be the average market price. Some of these I took recent sold just because there weren't a ton of sales. But for some of these where there was like 2, 3, 4 cases moving on a weekly basis, I would take the market price on TCG Player. Either way though, I think $1,353.62 is actually very accurate. That gives us a 2.75% case premium, which again, like Brilliant Stars, isn't huge. It's not going to make you a millionaire, but it still is a little bit of a premium, so it kind of makes sense if you're buying that much worth of SV base just to pick up the sealed case. Now after that, we have Paldea Evolved, one of the top sets from the SV era, especially when we look at the booster boxes. Around $379 currently. The most recent sealed case sold for $2,475. That gives us an 8.71% case premium. Obsidian Flames also has a case premium, market price around $299. Recent sold, or this might actually be the market average, $1,832.76. Again, close to around a 2% case premium there. Paradox Rift, we have no case premium, $240 market price approximately, and a recent case sold for $1,400 USD. Temporal, we're back having a case premium here. Market price holding fairly strong actually, around $272. I'm curious to see recent sales. Most of them are still in this range, which is kind of surprising to me how well Temporal Forces has been doing, especially considering, when I look at the data on eBay, there's a lot of temporal out there. It's not like an SV base. It's not like a Paldea Evolved where there's only a couple cases on the market at a time. No, there's like 100, 150 boxes. It's also one of those boxes that just doesn't sell super well. Not a ton of these moving on a weekly basis. So I am shocked at how well Temporal Forces has held up. But based on market price, recent case sold for $1,765. That's about an 8% case premium there. So that's actually decently high compared to some of these other Scarlet and Violet era sets. Twilight Masquerade, around $292 market price, getting closer to $293 currently today. A recent case sold for $1,800 USD. That's about a 2.71% case premium. But I think the two next sets are the most surprising. Stellar Crown, we all know this isn't a great set. You have a couple interesting cards in here. The loose boxes have actually been coming down in price over the past month or so. We were up to around $285. Now sitting around $250. But when we look at the most recent case that sold, it was $1,695. That's approximately a 11.54% case premium. That's actually fairly significant, right? That's a decent chunk of change, when you're investing $5, $10, $20, $50,000 into TCGs. That's definitely something that people would be paying attention to. And then currently, the highest SV era booster box case premium is Surging Sparks. These loose boxes going for around $243. They've definitely rebounded well after all the vending machine restocks. But when we come in here and look at a recent case that sold $1,649, that gives us a case premium of approximately 12.39%. And I didn't just do the booster boxes, I also did ETBs from the Sun and Moon era onwards. So we're going to scroll down a little bit further. Dragon Majesty and Shining Legends, I can go over these quickly. I was not able to find any solds or even any listings for sealed booster box cases of these products on eBay worldwide, TCG Player. They're just non-existent, it seems. I'm sure there's some of them out there, but they're definitely hard to come by, and for that reason, we really can't look at the case premium there. Hidden Fates, however, we do see a case premium. The current market price of a loose box is around $390 USD. You multiply that by 10, whereas with the booster box, we're doing 6, but multiply this by 10, and then you're getting your case premium there of about 34.79% based on the recent case sale of $5,252.95. I believe that was like Dave and Adams. I can't remember exactly what the store is on eBay, but I'm pretty sure it was the only sealed case that sold over the past 90 days. And the lowest list that I could find was still in this range. It was like $5,250, $5,300 USD. So I do think that this is a fair price to be paying for a sealed case of Hidden Fates. And that's actually going to be the second highest case premium on the list, just behind Prismatic Evolutions. We can skip over to this quickly. The price of these, the loose boxes coming down, it looks like, I think it's Dollar General in the States, is getting these stocked at like $40 USD. Also, Costco Canada, we've had restocks over the past month. A lot of scalpers were offloading these for around 80, 85 USD on Facebook Marketplace all day long. And I think there's rumors too, maybe Costco in the States is going to be getting more of these. So if that happens, I'm sure we're going to see this price continue to come back down towards $100 a box. But even as all that is going on, the sealed cases are holding strong. The market price around $1,662 USD. That's about a 39.39% case premium, which is massive. You guys know I've been a huge fan of Prismatic since the beginning. I do have a lot of loose ETBs, but I also have, I believe, 3 or 4 sealed cases of Prismatic. So about half my position, a third to a half of my position is in sealed cases, which obviously I wish was higher, but it has been difficult to find sealed cases of Prismatic in Canada at a decent price. But I figure we just skip right to that after going over Hidden Fates. We can jump back to Champion's Path, which I don't think is a great set. The loose market price still holding up fairly strong, around $154 USD. The current market price or recent sale for a case is $1,690.95. That's about a 10% premium on the sealed case. Shining Fates, same sort of deal. I do want to point out though, the loose price here has fallen a decent amount. We're down to around $95 on TCG Player and sales as low as $82. Maybe they're shipping on that, but it did sort of surprise me how well Shining Fates had held up considering a lot of these other ETBs have pulled back in price. But even with current market price there, around $95, $96, the most recent sale of a sealed case, almost $1,100. That's about a 13.9% premium. So even Shining Fates, you can find case premiums there and maybe make a little bit of money. Celebrations, most recent case sale, $2,000. I believe that was on TCG Player, considering that the loose boxes are going for about $239, $240, no case premium. Pokemon Go, around $99 for a loose sealed ETB. The most recent sale for a case was $700, and I believe that was a Probstein auction on eBay. And I don't think it was too long ago, maybe like a month and a half ago at this point. So I highly doubt we see the next sealed Pokemon Go case go for that low of price. But I think it's clear that there is no sealed case premium on Pokemon Go currently. But after that, we can jump to Crown Zenith. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Crown Zenith. It's held up decently well compared to some of these other ETBs, sitting around $200 USD for a loose box. When we look at the most recent sealed case that sold, $2,099, that's a 5.89% case premium, which is nothing huge, but it is something that we should point out. 151 here, $350 for a loose ETB. These have definitely pulled back a little bit over the past month, but we're still seeing sealed cases go for about $3,721.72. That's approximately a 6% sealed case premium. And then Paldean Fates after that, $230 for an ETB. These have been hit fairly hard compared to a lot of the other ETBs, but it does seem like they're stabilizing in that like 230, 240 range. The most recent sealed case I saw sell, $2,675. That's approximately a 16% case premium, which is fairly large. After that, Shrouded Fable, no case premium currently, $74, $75 for a loose box. Recent sealed case sold for $675. And then Prismatic, we can jump over. We already talked about that. Black Bolt and White Flare, the two final cases here. Loose, Black Bolt still holding around $88 USD. Recent sealed case selling for around $960 USD, 8% premium. And then White Flare, surprisingly sitting around $80, $81. I clocked this yesterday at $81.67. Sealed case, $916. That's about a 12% case premium. So decently high on White Flare there. I've actually been contemplating picking some of these up. Hobbiesville in Canada has them at a decent price, and I also have a little bit of store credit just from buying stuff in the past there. So I might pull the trigger on that. I may not. We'll have to see how things play out over the next couple weeks. And that's all I really wanted to get to in this video when it comes to looking at this data. I am kind of bummed that I was unable to have more complete stuff, especially for some of the older Sun and Moon items. But I think that just goes to show that people really don't value the case premium on the older stuff. Like a lot of people say, I think when things get really expensive, over $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, there's going to be a very small buyer pool of people who are willing to just openly trust whoever they're buying from. Who knows what's going to be inside? Obviously, the Logan Paul, G.I. Joe fiasco, that definitely played a role, I think, in some people's minds when it comes to looking at case premiums on older items. But for a lot of the newer stuff, you know, Sword and Shield, obviously the Scarlet and Violet era, there still are case premiums. And I think just based on what I'm seeing, it seems kind of obvious that within the first, say, 3 to 4 years of a set's life cycle, it might be worth trying to sell your cases if given the opportunity. You could also just hold on to them if you know that it is a legit product, and in the future, you could even open it, right? If that was ultimately what it came down to. But I just think if you have so much money tied up in cases, it may be a little bit more difficult in the future to unload that stuff. So as you get deeper into your TCG investing journey, as sets get older, that might be something you want to consider when you're moving money around, you're investing into newer products, getting out of some older ones. And outside of that, I mean, if you guys have any thoughts on the data, anything that stuck out to you, definitely feel free to share it in the comments down below. I know it probably isn't the best time to do this either, just because a lot of the booster boxes have gone through a correction over the past couple months. So maybe in the future, we'll come back to this 6 months from now, a year from now, who knows, do it again and see if the results ultimately line up. But thank you guys so much for watching the video. This is probably going to be a little bit longer of a video, so thank you for sticking with me. Again, if you guys got some value, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It does help out a ton, and then also all the goodies in the description as always. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching the video. Stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll catch you in the next one.